bringing Christ to the nations and the nations to the church. Daily devotions from Lutheran Hour Ministries.
Friday, July 26, 2024. The Girl from Israel. I'm Pastor Michael Ziegler, speaker of the Lutheran Hour, and this devotion pairs with this weekend's Lutheran Hour sermon, which can be found at lhm.org. The text is 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 8. But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent to the king, saying, "Why have you torn your clothes because of this letter? Let Naaman come now to me, that he may know that there is a prophet in Israel." See, one day the king of Israel had gotten a letter from the king of Syria. The letter said something like this: "Dear sir, my servant Naaman, the commanding general of my army, has leprosy. I'm sending him to you. I hear you can help him. Hugs and kisses, the king of Syria." And how does the king of Israel read this letter? As a threat. Why? Because he can only see it as a plot in a single story, a story of him versus his enemies, because that's what the Syrians were, his enemies. The king of Israel knew that Syria was trying to pick a fight. This letter couldn't be the bid for help it purported to be. It had to be a threat, because that was the only story he knew. Author Skye Jethani suggests that it happened because of what he calls the fallacy of the single story. What's that? An example of it was illustrated in a study conducted in England. Soccer fans completed a questionnaire. The questions were written to identify the Manchester United fans in the group. Each participant was told that the next part of the study involved watching a film about soccer in another building. While the participant walked to that building, an actor, hired by the researchers and pretending to be a jogger, would run past, fall, grab his ankle, howling in pain. Now, sometimes the jogger wears a Manchester United jersey. Other times he wears a Liverpool shirt, the rival soccer club. As you might have guessed, the Manchester United fans almost always helped the jogger when he was wearing a Manchester United jersey. But when he was wearing the rival shirt, they very rarely helped. They stopped only 30% of the time. Why were these diehard soccer fans so callous to their rivals? The single story fallacy. That's when I reduce another human being to a role in a single story, when I see that person only as a rival or an irritation in my story. But do you remember how Naaman the Syrian heard that there was a great prophet in Israel, and what prompted him to ask his king to reach out to his counterpart in Israel? It was the witness of a slave girl from Israel. Naaman's armies on one of their raids had kidnapped her, made her their slave. And this girl, she had every reason to hate Naaman. But she didn't. Somewhere in her heart, she found herself caring for him. She didn't see him in a single story, but in the light of something bigger, because she had grown up hearing the stories of the one true God. And she trusted that God had placed her here to invite Naaman into God's story, because God had embraced her and her people. Even centuries later, when they rejected and crucified their Messiah, God would embrace them. God raised Jesus from the dead to bring everyone into his story. Would you pray with me? Dear Jesus, help me be like the little girl from Israel and see people as you see them. Amen.